I am honored to be able to pass this off to a collaborative effort by putting this great facility up and making sure that all services can make sure that they are recognized. We're here at the National Medal of Honor Museum for the Coast Guard to present Signalman First Class Douglas Monroe's Medal of Honor that he was awarded to the National Medal of Honor Museum until our museum opens up, so it can be highlighted. We can teach the Coast Guard story because we are very small, but we do hold a lot of pride in being able to save lives.
Douglas Monroe, so selfless in his way of service. He was driving a boat, delivering Marines. They dropped them off. Things went all terrible on the beach. They go back to try to pull them off, and in doing so, he gets wounded. It's an amazing set of circumstances.
Heroism oftentimes comes when we least expect it. For the men and women of our military, gallant acts of bravery and selflessness are all part of the job description. That was certainly the case for Signalman First Class Douglas Monroe. On September 27, 1942, he found himself in a situation that required a quick decision when 500 Marines suddenly came under fire on a small island that became a key strategic objective for both Japanese and American military forces.
He took his landing craft in Guadalcanal on Point Cruz, noticed enemy fire that was coming across from the way, put the landing craft between the enemy and Marines. Within there, shielded the Marines, fatally wounded. The Marines were able to get off, and his last words before he died was, "Did they get off?"
After realizing they had stepped into an ambush, the 500 Marines who landed at Guadalcanal quickly retreated under fire. Having volunteered to evacuate a detachment of Marines who were facing annihilation by an unanticipated large enemy force, he succeeded in safely extricating them, and in doing so, was mortally wounded.
The bonds between the Coast Guard and Marine Corps were forged 75 years ago on those bloody shores of Guadalcanal to save those 500 Marines who were stranded on that beachfront. And putting his service before self, Douglas Monroe answered that call. But it was also Ray Evans who was at Douglas Monroe's side on that 27th day of September in 1942, when Douglas Monroe uttered his final words, "Did they get off?"
Doug was facing forward and I was standing up by the coxswain looking back. I saw this line of water spouts coming across the water, and I yelled at Doug to get down. He couldn't hear me over the engine noise, and it hit him. It was one burst of fire, and that's how he died.
Douglas Monroe's heroic actions cost him his life, but saved hundreds of others.
Everybody was taking, what can I do for my country? And so I think that was a great offspring of being able to take ownership of what the country meant to them and what they went through during the 1930s with the Great Depression, and then making sure that they can fulfill what they wanted to do in our American pride to move forward.
His willingness to die for his country is notable, as he is the only member of the Coast Guard ever to receive our nation's highest honor.
So the significance of it is us being able to honor, respect, and devotion to duty, which is our core values, and in that one instant, that's what he did.
Those who were there that day witnessed the greatest act of love, to lay down one's life so that others may live.